Hello guys, I'm Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge here in Minsk. Over the last 4 years, LLC SIS, my company, has been relocating people to Belarus quite successfully. And today we're having another biased headlines digest, global and local news headlines that attracted my attention, that may be of some cultural or practical value to you, simply as infotainment. This is not a media release. And that's just about how things are here from a perspective of a local. I thank you very much for staying with the channel. Your likes, your feedback, your questions, any technical questions are subject to private and paid consultancy, as it happens. Contacts are right here. Links are under the video. Thank you for your support. Let's get started. The global headlines are shocking one every hour, with all the things that are dramatically shifting left to right and right to left, and apparently the better times that we have been moaning about for the last 4 years may come soon, depending on how the hairy handshake is going to work out. Let's hope for the best and focus on more local things. Well, locally, the Belarusian ruble is increasing in its rate, so it's less than 3.20 against the dollar now. It could change next week. The general expectation is for the dollar rate to surge sharply depending on the outcome of the negotiations, and apparently it doesn't matter what kind of outcome it's going to be. The Russian ruble is going to lose its value dramatically, according to some experts, who may not be experts at all, and this may have impact on Belarus too within a month. So let's double check that in mid-March. In Vitebsk, a local supermarket burned down. It wasn't like a mall, it was just like an ancient 1970s building packed with stores that you could expect at some oriental bazaar. But it smoked, and now apparently it's going to be crushed down or something. The news report is that the owner didn't have it covered with insurance. Now, it may be shocking to some Western audience about not having a property as solid as a 3-floor market not being covered with insurance. Well, that's what happened. Speaking of more private insurance options, we just got our 2-room flat covered by roughly $80 with some decent refund. I'll try to look up the paper and see how much they can pay back in case of a deluge, in case of a fire, in case of any property damage while the tenant is there. A 2-room flat in Minsk, 40 square meters, and this is how much we pay per year. Let's hope we're never gonna use it. It was widely rumored until recently that only prior bank can get dollar transfers here, and actually the YouTube's goodbye transfer to me occurred somewhere in late December, upon which I cheerfully shut down the account. Or was it in January? If that was in January, I'll have to pay tax for it next year. And the guy who reported the problem was another YouTuber, a fellow YouTuber, who was chopped off by the charming democratic Western platform 3 years after the war started. The guy collected some $200 worth of donations from this YouTube transfer, and the bank commission was something like a half of that. They recently introduced higher commissions for international transfers, and apparently it's still kind of speculated that a bank transfer from a US bank transfer, no matter from which country, because there is a US transit bank in between, is still a lottery and is still a bit challenging. So mostly people do the cash in the pocket kind of transfer, and some other ways, more sophisticated, more scientific. Actually, crypto is officially wired through the official exchanging operators, high technology park residents. You can research this matter, and that's about it. Apparently, Lithuania and the UK are pulling out of the double taxation accords with Belarus. I don't wish to interpret that, especially through the headlines, so you will check with your accountants if necessary. But the law previously was, if you pay taxes elsewhere, if it's more than 13%, all you have to do is declare your taxes here, declare your income here by the 30th of March of the following year. So my taxes for 2024, I'll have to report within the next 5 weeks, I guess. And the payment has to be until 31st of May or something like this. We'll see how many bank wires went through and how many of them were not YouTube wires. I don't think there were too many. And they'll have to pay nothing because they're donations. Donations are tax-free. Relative to relative wires are also tax-free. I'm not sure if there is a limit applying to that. You'll have to check that yourself. But you may want to avoid wiring your friends, girlfriends or something any solid amounts of money, because there may be pretty heavy tax applied once the tax office smokes all that stuff. We may have covered that in the previous release, but a pretty significant bridge has been shut down until December. It starts walk away from here, Independence Square, and going westwards, Moskovskaya Street. It's out of use for the next 8 months or something. Maybe they'll finish it faster, but it's a bit of a pain because by the Minsk hotel, the traffic has to take only a left turn. And that's a bit painful with all the people who are driving around and have to use alternative ways, which are not necessarily very handy. So if you are in the center, you may choose your rent closer to Independence Avenue from the eastern side, not from the western. The new car deals have seen a shift of the best sellers, and apparently the Belarusian Chinese assembly of the Geely has dropped to the third place or something. The first one is Lada. I no longer know which country is actually behind Lada manufacturing, because after the sanctions kick out of the French, the Renault that was dragging Lada from the black hole back into the human world, it's non-French and it's definitely non-Russian as far as I understand the car business mechanics. But I'm not a car expert, so you may check it for yourself. I've seen some people who were kissing Lada once they bought it new. I have seen some people who were cursing Lada 2 or 3 years later. Most of them are watching this blog, so cheers to these guys. I hope their new, shiny Korean, German cars are doing well. A little bit about registration. There is utility registration for permanent residents, like Belarusian citizens, that is subject to a subsidy for utility bills. And there is also migration registration for the foreigners, which is very confusing and which scares the landlords a lot. And we've just finished a little project of finding a long-term rent for a foreign citizen, again from an exotic country, so this was a double hazard. And many landlords, let's say 7 out of 10, would politely or not so politely say, no, we don't consider foreigners for this very specific issue, because foreigners tend to pack their stuff and go without canceling the contract, or for some other reasons, they just do not go through the paperwork right. And the foreigner and the landlord remains here confronted with the stuff that they have to throw away and the paperwork on which the guy still lives in their flat, and they have to either take it to court to resolve in a month or 2 to forcibly deregister this person, or wait until the expiry of the contract, which does not improve the idea of renting out to foreigners. So it's a bit of a drama. I haven't been to such court cases yet, but I have been to court cases regarding the deregistration of the ex-owners of a flat that a foreigner purchased. It's another matter and another interesting challenge, apparently. Not so many of you guys would know of the Arena City Mall, which is next to Minsk Arena, the hockey stadium. It's now on sale for $74 million, and the auction is going to take place in mid-March this year. I'm not sure how many buyers there are going to be, but well, we'll see how it goes in March. Like I told you a couple of years ago, a couple of hotels sold for $4 and $12 million in the city of Minsk, which was not exactly experiencing a peak of tourism. And we'll see how this one goes. Apparently people with hundreds of thousands or with millions of dollars are making their choice daily, weekly, and that expensive deal for $0.4 million in central Minsk for an apartment. This one, people know something that I don't. That's great, because you can see the stories left and right and make your own conclusions based on that. Not sure if this one is any bad in Poland, but apparently the business people of Podlasie area are quite excited, quite unhappy about the borders being locked and the Belarusian shopping traffic not coming in to basically boost the economy of the region. Since 2023 closure of the respective checkpoint at the border, the business people were stirring up things like sending messages to the Polish government about things not going too well with the traffic of shoppers cut. Next door neighbors are not super happy about this closure of the border. So while politicians are playing their muscle games, the simple people, like business people, including my charming self, are not super happy about the zero traffic between the countries, between the borders. And we can only imagine how fast the sanctions are going to be leashed back, let's say, or cancelled between the West and our democracies over here once the two big shots basically arrive to some kind of an agreement out there. A bit of a economic fact. A few properties in Belarus are pieces of historic heritage, and some of them are pending restoration or, let's say, demolition, because there aren't many willing individuals keen to restore them. One of them is that monastery of Carmelites somewhere in the north. And speaking of that, I may pay a visit to manor, old-time noble family manor, which is now slowly falling into pieces in the north, in Ushachi area, where one of my subscribers is living. An American gentleman, maybe we'll film an interview, who is keen to kickstart an auction to purchase the whole thing and to carefully balance the restoration process with the culture ministry. Now, without pointing at more intimate points of this undertaking, I would like to say that this is a very brave enterprise. It's definitely going to be finance consuming, challenging, and I can only envy that a guy who enjoys his retirement so much can put some money into a piece of Belarusian heritage. I may be involved at some point as a translator, but we'll see how the whole thing goes. Tell me if you would like to learn about this manner a bit more and have a little interview with this guy. One of the Russian ex-Volkswagen factories is about to switch to producing Haval vehicles. And it's a big thing. I mean, the switch from the Western brands into Eastern products, and the backward switch, if any, is going to occur once the sanctions are lifted, when and if, is a big deal. A lot of economists, again, will be arguing about how tough this comeback to still demanded technology and products, high-tech products, is going to be there. Although the gray supply lines have been mounted and the extra side routes have been mastered throughout these years, when and if, depending how fast the sanctions are going to go, how far back the Russians and Belarusians are going to turn and renew all these old channels, and how traumatizing this may be to the market, or how revitalizing. If you are in imports and exports, guys, you can put your opinion in the comments, whether or not your product is coming into Belarus or out of Belarus, how is it working. It's going to be interesting to hear some of that feedback. Apparently, on top of the recent ban for person-to-person exchange operations with crypto, the taxation of some kind is going to be imposed. They are working this out, and directly some kind of a manual or regulation comes out. I'll try to talk to some people who know about this stuff and to run a quick explanation to you. Although I'm not a crypto expert, I'm very, very scared by these USDTs and all this stuff. I like my conventional money that I keep in the pocket. That's just about it. But I'll try to enlighten the subject as long as it's important for you, as much as I can. almost forgot this one. While the sanctions are still in play, there is a difficulty to purchase the travel logistics, to straighten the travel logistics through Belarus in and out. While Expedia, otherwise hotels.com, I understand it's the same platform, is offering some accommodation options online. The flights are challenging, and here are two platforms in the Emirates and China that my travelers from America have been using with their American cards. It has been quite a bit of a battle of sorts, a battle of minds, a battle of guesses in our Facebook community recently about which way an America-based American could buy a flight from Istanbul to Belarus. Finally, it got sorted with the Chinese platform. So I'm happy if you make use of this platform for your trip, and if you need a guided tour or some consultancy about relocation or real estate, I'm all yours. The contacts are down below. Thank you very much.